Habang nagbabasa tayo kagabi ng mga balita, ang isang tumambag na balita sa atin ay ang bansang Japan, kung saan gaganapin po mga kapatid ang susunod na Olimpiada dyan po sa Tokyo, ay nagdeklara ng virus emergency o yung tinatawag nilang targeted state of emergency. Dahil nga po dun sa pagtaas ng kanilang mga kaso ng COVID-19. In fact, meron po mga events doon na hindi na po nila itutuloy, no? Katulad po ng Toyota Motor Show, isang malaking international motor show na taon-taon ay ginaganap po sa Tokyo. Hindi na po gaganapin yun. Meron na rin po mga kupunan na hindi na rin lalahok sa isang international diving championship. Well, ito po yung nakakagulat sapagkat ilang buwan na lamang ay malapit na po ang Olimpiada, although patuloy po na ina-assure ang publiko ng International Olympic Committee at of course ng Japan Organizing Committee na tuloy-tuloy po ang Tokyo Olympics. Sana naman, no? Kasi naman, ang dami na nating mga atleta naghahanda, ang dami na po nating ginastos para sa paghahanda ng ating mga atleta at of course, tayo po ay patuloy na nangangarap sa isa na namang magandang pagtatapos sa Tokyo Olympics. Sana nga. At mamaya po, meron tayong makakausap tungkol sa kanyang pangarap na makapunta sa Tokyo Olympics. Ngayong Sabado na umaga, dito po sa inyong paboritong kasama pang almusal, ang Power and Play. Hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement at ng Cherry Loom. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat mga kapatid. Ako po si Noli Yala, muling bumabati sa inyo ngayong Sabado ng umaga. Naku, patapos na naman ng April. Ano ba nangyayari sa atin? Patuloy po na mataas ang ating mga kaso, although may mga sinyales naman na kahit papano ay bumababa ang reproduction rate o yung ating positivity din, bumababa po. Kaya tuloy-tuloy po tayo sa ating pag-iingat. Binabati po natin lahat ng ating mga tagapakinig sa pamamagitan ng Radyo 5 92.3 News FM, lalong-lalo na ang ating taxi squad, ang Radyo 5 Taxi Squad. Magandang umaga sa inyo lahat. Ingat-ingat lang po tayong lahat. Yung po mga nakikinig sa atin na nakapila sa mga community pantry. Nako, sana po magpayong kayo ng mabuti. Social distancing mga kapatid. Hindi dahil may mga pwede tayong lumabas at kumuha ng konting ayuda, tayo makakalimot na po sa mga health protocols. Binabati rin po natin ang lahat ng mga nanonood sa atin sa 1PH on Signal TV. Channel 1 yan on Signal TV. Good morning everyone. Thank you for joining us here on Power and Play. And of course, lahat po ng nakatutok via live stream sa Facebook Live ng 1PH, ng Radyo 5 at ng Power and Play. Good morning everyone. Good morning world. At sa lahat po ng nag-stream din via the Noli Iyala YouTube channel. Kami po ay punong-puno na naman ng kwentuhan at ng talakayan dito po ngayong Sabado ng umaga. We've got a good set of guests and we, of course, we'll be talking about the trending news, the highlights of this week, the topics that matter. At yan po ang ating pag-usapan ngayong Sabado ng umaga sa Power and Play. Siyempre, simulan na kagad natin sa mga balitang gumulat sa atin ngayong linggong ito sa pamamagitan ng ating weekly sports highlights. Noong Martes, inuloklok sa World Chess Hall of Fame ang Filipino chess icon na si Eugene Torre. Hinirang bilang Asia's first grandmaster si Torre, ang kauna-unahang lalaking Asyado na naging bahagi ng Hall of Fame sa larangan ng chess. Congratulations Eugene sa isa namang karangalang binigay mo sa ating bansa. Martes din nang sinabi ni Kobe Paras na muli na niyang susubukan ang kanyang kapalaran sa Estados Unidos. Sa gitna ng mga hindi kasiguraduhan dahil sa pandemya, nagpaalam na si Kobe sa University of the Philippines para magpakitang gilas naman muli sa Amerika. So good luck kay Kobe. Sayang naman sa UP but marami pa naman kayo mga player. Merkules, si Kai Sotto tutulak din sa ibang bansa pero siya patungong Australia naman. Doon maglalaro si Kai para sa prestihiyosong liga ng National Basketball League o NBL. Dumaan din sa NBL ang ilang mga kilalang former NBA stars gaya nila Luke Longley at Andrew Bogut. Mamaya pag-uusapan natin sina Kai at Kobe kasama ng ating mga kaibigang sina Anthony Suntay at Enzo Flojo. Miyerkules din ng pangunahan ni Vanessa Sarno ang Asian Weightlifting Championship na ginanap sa Uzbekistan kung saan nag-uwi siya ng 2 ginto, 1 silver sa Asian Weightlifting Championship. Of course, si Sarno ang magiging heir apparent ni Heidelin kung saan doon din po nag-qualify si Heidelin patungo sa Tokyo Olympics. Huwebes, balitang volleyball naman. Pass na raw ang dating national team captain na si Jovelyn Gonzaga sa national team duties. Anya, oras na raw para ipagpaubaya ang kanyang slot para sa mga up-and-coming volleyball stars. Huwebes din nang sinabi ng International Olympic Committee na bawal pa rin daw ang anumang uri ng protesta sa Olympics. Yan ay sa gitna ng pakikilahok ng mga atleta sa social issues mula sa iba't ibang bahagi ng mundo. Pag-uusapan naman natin yan sa ating Fast Take. Of course, marami po tayo mga issues na makukuha dyan sa mga weekly sports highlights na yan at ating pong hihimayin mamaya-maya yan. Of course, ngayong araw pong ito, makakasama din natin mamaya si Coach Norman Black yung sa kanyang part 2 ng aming panayam sa kanya. Makakapanayam din po natin ang ating 6-time Southeast Asian Games gold medalist sa track and field, si Eric Cray, at si Machine Gun Kelly, si Kelly Williams, yung nag-retire tapos nag-unretire na player ng Talk and Text. At siya po ay magsasalita tungkol sa kanyang mga rason kung bakit siya ay nagbabalik muli sa PBA. Pero syempre, bago yan, pulsuhan muna natin ang ating mga tagapakinig. Pulsuhan po natin kayong mga kasama natin na mahilig sa larangan ng basketball. Ang ating pong pupulsuhan ngayon ay ang naging desisyon ni Kai Sotto na maglaro sa NBL. At ang desisyon din ni Kobe Paras naman na muling maghanap ng kanyang pangarap sa Amerika. Kaya po ang ating pulso ng bayan, Kai Sotto sa Australia, Kobe Paras sa Amerika. Approve ba kayo rito, mga kapatid? Kung gusto niyo po makasama sa ating talakayan, mag-text lamang sa aming hotline 0949-691-4956 o di kaya ay mag-post sa aming Facebook page, Power and Play with Com Noli Iyala, o sa Facebook page ng 1PH o ng Radyo 592.3 News FM. Ulitin ko po yan ha, Kai Sotto sa Australia, Kobe Paras sa Amerika. Approve ba kayo rito, mga kapatid? Alright, tuloy-tuloy po tayo. And of course, ang ating paboritong segment tuwing Sabado ng umaga ay ating pong ilalabas na ngayon. Ito po ang Fast Take kung saan ang ating makakapanayam ay ang ating mga kaibigan sa sports media. Sila po ang nasa likod ng mga balita, kaya naman silang karapat-dapat na magsalita tungkol sa mga pangyayari at mga kaganapan sa larangan ng sports. At ngayong araw pong ito, tayo ay mapalad na makakasama natin mga balik power and play na ito mga kasama natin ngayon. At puro kababaihan, na mga journalists na ating mga kababaihan. Sila po ay sila Bigo, si Beatrix Go ng Rappler Sports at si Kate Reyes ng Spin.ph. Hello Beatrix, good to see you again. And Kate, good to have you on the show. Maraming salamat.
Good morning. Good morning.
Alam mo, hindi ko kayo, lagi kong binabasa yung mga nilalabas ninyong mga balita. Okay, I know you follow Alex Ayala very much. So let me ask you first, Alex, umakyat na naman sa rango in the world rankings niya. Is she on pace? Sa tingin mo ba, medyo masyado namamadali ang career ni Alex. What do you think, Kate?
Ang bilis nga po since parang coming into the year, nasa top 1,000 pa siya and then lumipad talaga. Nag-jump siya ngayon to number 662. And this is very promising for Alex. This is very impressive. And I feel like nasa tamang path po tayo, Com.
Tama naman yan. Well, of course, alam natin na 15 anyos pa lang si Alex. But of course, we have high hopes for her and hopefully yung kanyang career path ay makakatulong sa atin at sa kanya. There are so many, talking about women and the two of you here with me today, there's so many athletes na papunta ng Olympiada na kababaihan. Nandiyan si Heidelin, nandiyan si Nesty, si Irish, malamang pumasok si Yuka and Bianca, and there's of course Margie Didal. Is this a good sign for Philippine sports, B?
Of course, as in it was starting nung 2018 Asian Games pa na all the gold medalists, 'di ba? Gold like si Heidi, si Yuka, si Bianca, si LK, si Margie, they were the ones who got the gold. And then right now, I think like mga 85% of the Olympic hopefuls are also women. So it's actually empowering everyone else na, dati 50-50, dati hindi nga umaabot ng 50-50 yung men and women delegation. Tapos now, like, imagine mo, Tokyo 2020, what if like our delegation is like around 90%, 85% women?
Wow, that will be something talaga. And of course, we're looking towards a gold medal in the Olympics. Can you imagine kung kababaihan pa magbigay ng unang gold medal sa Olympiada? And of course, Heidelin won a silver back in Rio. So hindi malayo yung mangyaring yan. Alright, marami tayong gustong himayin outside of the arena of basketball. At kayong dalawa naman ay nakatutok sa mga areas na kadalasan ay hindi masyadong napapansin pero ang dami pong nangyayari. At unahin na natin kagad ang nangyayari sa ating mga NSA. Alam natin na sa ating unang fast take, again, itong fast take, alam nyo na to, ang opinion nyo, ang mas mahalaga dito, no right, no wrong answers. And of course, bato-bato sa langit, tamaan, huwag magagalit. Ang una nating issue dito, hindi natuloy yung Kalamba bubble na pinaplano sana ng Philippine Olympic Committee at ng SEA Games Organizing Committee or yung task force. At ngayon, ang kanilang plano ay pupunta na sila sa mga iba't ibang lugar, no? Mga LGU na maaaring mag-host sa atin dito sa ating mga national sports associations. Now, ang tanong, LGU-based training para sa SEA Games athletes, maging epektibo kaya? I will begin with you, B. You have 1 minute. Go.
It should be talaga effective because number one, a lot of the provinces outside Metro Manila or even the NCR Plus, they are under GCQ, and yun nga, it's actually safer for the athletes. And yun nga, parang 200 million lang yung budget ng PSC for the whole SEA Games, and then 100 million will go to the trip itself. So, how can you fit 100 million pesos for the training of like a delegation of 600, right? So I think like partnering with LGUs and any project naman that seems very impossible, it needs a lot of partnership and you need people talaga to help you achieve your goals.
All right. Well, mahirap itong, you pointed out, the budget, very, very important yan sa pagpaplano. Same question, Kate. LGU-based training para sa ating SEA Games athletes. Alam natin yan, pinaplano yan sa mga lugar katulad ng Taguig, ng Binyan, ng Tagaytay. Maging epektibo kaya, Kate? 1 minute. Go!
So dahil nga sa patuloy na pagtaas ng COVID-19 cases dito sa Pilipinas, kailangan talaga sumunod sa mga quarantine protocols. At itong paghanap ng mga lugar or probinsya na under MGCQ, isa ito sa mga natitirang paraan para maipagpatuloy or masimulan yung training bubble ng mga national athletes na lalaban sa SEA Games. Necessary ito kasi hindi naman din pwede nating i-risk yung safety ng athletes kung susugal sa mga lugar na matataas yung cases. And also, this plan has already been executed by the national team fencing in Ormoc City and then the archery team sa Dumaguete. So through closely following health protocols and with the right amount of support from the government and responsible stakeholders, I think this can be an effective way to do it since it's the only option that we have for now.
All right. Well, ako, ang aking take dito, I don't care where they're trained, but ang akin, mag-training na sila. Kasi can you imagine, ang host country, ang Vietnam, ang Hanoi, where it will be held, ang kaso doon, ilan-ilan lang. They have only something like 7 cases a day. Kaya sila doon, I'm sure puspusan ng training doon. So, definitely magiging challenge ito para sa ating mga atleta, but it's a welcome news na ang ating mga LGU ay tutulong. Alright, second issue of the day. Alam naman natin na mahilig ang ating mga fans sa volleyball at nang nabuo itong PNVFI na nag-unify ng mga volleyball players. Ito na, binubuo na ang national team. Pero isang player ang umayaw. Ang dating kapitan ng national volleyball team, si Jovelyn Gonzaga, exit na daw sa national team. Ito ba ay a win or a loss for Philippine volleyball? I will begin with you, Kate. 1 minute.
Okay.
Go!
So, Jovelyn Gonzaga served the national team for countless of times already. So, including nga a captainship back in 2015. And she knows the national team like the back of her hand. And she knows what she can offer and what's the best for the team. So, we have to respect the decision that she made as she wanted to give the slots to younger generation of players. Na base sa previous interviews, ang term niya ay may maitatanim at mas payayabungin pa habang bata. Pero she also said naman na kahit na i-forgo niya yung slot niya sa national team, she's gonna help in any way that she can. May it be providing assistance through her wisdom or any other way. And I think with all this in mind, this is definitely a win for it, I think.
Nakakatuwa yung mga sinabi mo. And, I know that you have the heart na yung naiintindihan nyo yung mga ganyang klaseng desisyon, no? Again, same issue, Beatrice. Jovelyn Gonzaga umexit na sa national team ayon sa kanya at ayaw na daw niya ulit na maglaro at ipapaubaya na daw niya sa kabataan. Is this a win or a loss for Philippine volleyball? B, 1 minute, go!
I think it's also a win for Philippine volleyball because like normal naman talaga ang passing of the torch, and it's always been exciting naman talaga to see older athletes, like give way to the younger generation na talaga. And yun nga, parang I remember Miss Jovelyn also was injured in 2017 and nakabuhat naman yung mga younger generation athletes like si Eliza Valdez, si Abby Marano took the captainship in the 2018 Asian Games, and Philippine volleyball finished like a career like 8th place in such a very long time also in the Asian Games. So and yun nga, like she also mentioned like Aya Laure, to be specific, who's a really rising talent, like from the Asian of under 23, and now like she's going to actually like ease her way to the senior team. Like it's actually very exciting to see like fresh legs, diba?
Oh, well, alam mo, I agree with your points, B. Alam mo, ang isa sa pinakamahirap na gawin ay to walk away from something that you really, really like to do. And alam natin kung gaano ka-dedicated si Jovelyn. So, hats off sa kanya na kahit papano nakapag-desisyon siya ng ganyan, isang mahirap na desisyon. And I hope yung mga susunod sa kanyang yapak ay talagang matulungan ang cause ng Philippine volleyball. All right, our third and final take of the day. Ang Olympiada is about 3 months away. We've always known the Olympics to stand for something. And lately, because of social media, ang athletes have been very, very vocal, very active on social issues. We've seen them speak out against racial discrimination. We've seen them speak out against apartheid before. We've seen them speak out against social inequality. Pero this year, ang sabi ng IOC, ang athletes protest daw ay bawal sa Olympics ngayong Tokyo, nagaganapin ang Olympics sa Tokyo. Nararapat lang ba ito o hindi? I will give you 1 minute, B. Go!
I feel like the ban is just meant to like decrease the drama that the Olympics is already currently facing with all the uncertainty. But yun nga, like I do believe that like it shouldn't be banned also because like it's creating like a conflict for the athletes na yes, they've worked hard over the last 4 years. They trained so hard. Tapos, but then like they also want to use the global platform to speak out on the issues and the advocacies that they're fighting for. And yun nga, parang we all know already, like LeBron James has been saying it so many times that like sports and politics will always mix naman talaga. Sports and racial inequality, like it's not even under their control, pero it just really happens. So I think like putting a ban on it is just creating more stress on the athletes actually.
Lalong-lalo na siguro ngayon na walang mga fans, ang hirap talaga na to remain sane dito sa Olympic Games na to. Nakaka-tense na, tapos hindi ka pa makapagsalita. Naku, talagang same issue, Kate, same issue. Athletes protest, bawal na daw sa Olympics ayon sa IOC. Tama ba to o hindi? 1 minute, Kate. Go!
Okay. So regarding the IOC's rule number 50, if I'm correct, the main reason why they banned it is because, according to them, majority of the participants were against conducting any kind of protest. If that's true, then that's majority, and we have to respect that. I think that's 70%. But I still think na they should let the athletes who wanted to use their platforms for bigger purposes do it. Because some athletes see that as part of their purpose. And for some athletes, it's the representation that fuels their game. And they earned the spot to get there. So they have the right to voice out their opinions because they worked so hard to get there nga. Like what we said.
Well,
Yun lang, Tom.
tama yan. Alam mo, at the end of the day, athletic competitions will always be about the athletes, but it will also be for what they stand. That ang Olympics has always been there because it stood for something. It has been a torch, a beacon of hope, a beacon of light para sa ating mga laging umaasa sa mas maganda pang kinabukasan. B and Kate, always a pleasure to have you with us on the show. Continue writing those great stories dahil kami naaaliw, lalong-lalo na wala naman kaming magawa kundi magbasa ng mga storya. We're very happy to read all of your stories. Maraming salamat, B and Kate, for joining us today.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Yan po mga kaibigan, si Beatrice Go ng Rappler Sports at si Kate Reyes ng spin.ph. Thank you so much. All right. At this point, tuloy-tuloy tayo mga kaibigan, no? Mukhang marami pa tayong tatalakayin. Ayaw kayong bitawan.
Oo nga eh. Parang hinihintay na lang natin
baka sabi yata ni producer Gab, kausapin ko muna ba daw kayo? Ano ba yan? Alam ko, yan.
Yun na.
Bye everyone. Salamat. Yan po mga kaibigan ng ating mga kasama, si Beatrice at saka si Kate. Nako, nakakatuwa yung mga bago nating mga journalists. Talagang napakasisipag at ang gagaling sumulat. Nakakaingit talaga. Alam mo, isang bagay, bagamat nung ako po ay nagpa-practice, panay ang sulat natin, no, ng mga legal documents. Pagdating sa pagsusulat ng mga storya, meron kailangan certain touch yan eh. Yan ang kagalingan ng mga talagang journos. Merong touch yan na ika nga parang iyong readers ay patuloy na hindi bibitaw sa pagbabasa ng isang artikulo. Mga kaibigan, tuloy-tuloy po tayo. Ang daming naging anunsyo this week. Ang PBA nag-anunsyo this week na ika nga patuloy po silang umaasa na matutuloy ang season na ito. Sabi nga ni Vice Chairman Bobby Rosales at ni Commissioner Willie Marshall na malamang daw ay mga Hunyo mangyari dahil kailangan daw umabot sa MGCQ. Of course, nag-offer si Com Willie na magkaroon ng salary cuts ang mga empleyado ng PBA at ng mga players and coaches except utility staff. Napakaganda naman no? Dahil nga nakikisama sila sa sakripisyo ng mga teams at ng mga team owners. Well, of course, hindi kailangan yan ng mga team owners sa dami sa lalaki ng mga kumpanyang sumasali po sa PBA. But it's still a tremendous gesture coming from the PBA brass. No? Of course, isa pang balita na inanunsyo nila ay ang pag-host or pag-offer mag-host ni Governor Matthew Manotoc ng Ilocos Norte sa PBA itong coming season na ito. It doesn't matter whether it is a bubble or ito ay closed circuit. Nag-offer po si Governor Manotoc ng Ilocos na maglaro ang PBA doon po sa Lawag, no? Malayo nga pero ligtas nga doon at hindi masyadong marami ang mga kaso. In fact, I think halos COVID-free sila doon, no? Kaya abangan natin kung ano po ang mangyayari dyan. Alright, at this point, pinag-uusapan po natin ang basketball. Ang pinakamalaking balita na lumabas sa basketball ngayong linggong ito ay ang desisyon po ng ilan nating manlalaro na magpunta abroad. Si Kai Sotto, ang ating pong inaasahang papasok ng NBA. Although naunsyame yung kanyang plano, yung una niyang plano na dumaan sa pamamagitan ng NBA G League patungo sa NBA, ay nagdesisyon na po na sumali sa isang koponan dyan po sa National Basketball League, yung NBL ng Australia. Yan po ay nilalaro sa Australia, may isang koponan sa New Zealand na kasapi dyan, at sila po ay merong professional league dyan. Si Kai Sotto, behind the help of his team as well as his agent, Joel Bell, ay nagdesisyon pong sumama sa NBL. Samantala, si Kobe Paras naman ay pumirma na doon po sa grupo na humahawak kay Kai Sotto, yung pong East-West Private. At siya po ay pupunta na rin sa Amerika naman para humanap ng kanyang sariling paraan patungo sa isang fruitful basketball career. Alam din natin, si Jack Animam ay naglalaro sa Taiwan at si Thirdy Ravenna ay nasa Japan. Ang dami pong mga Pilipino naglalaro ngayon at hihimayin po natin ito, Filipinos playing abroad as well as, of course, centering on Kai Sotto. And today we're very happy to have with us my good friends and veteran sports analysts, Anthony Suntay, and FIBA correspondent, FIBA columnist, Enzo Flojo, para po himayin ang mga issues na to. Magandang umaga, Anthony at Enzo. Okay na ba si Anthony at si Enzo? Sige, bangan natin ha. Again ha, mga kapatid ha. Si Kai Sotto po ay pumirma ng 2-year contract sa Adelaide 36ers na meron po siyang player option on the 3rd year. Siya po ay naghahangad na maging kauna-unahang Pilipino na makapasok sa NBL. Alam niyo po yung NBL, hindi yan pipitsuging liga. It is one of the top leagues in the world. In the world. Marami na pong, alam naman natin kung gaano kagaling ang Australian basketball. Well, of course, meron tayo mga masasamang karanasan sa Australia. Yung po nangyari na laban dito, the Boomers versus Gilas, a couple of years ago. Mapait, masakit, at ika nga hindi magandang pangyayari, pero lahat po yan ay naisantabi na natin, and we've seen how Australian basketball has produced so many great heroes, including the likes of Ben Simmons, Andrew Bogut, Matthew De La Vedova, Patty Mills, na ngayon po ay lahat or at least nakapaglaro sa NBA. At talaga namang marami ang umaasa na kahit papano itong desisyon ng Kai ay makakabuti, hindi lamang para sa kanya. Dahil alam natin ang pangarap ni Kai na makapunta sa NBA. Biro-biro nga nagkulang daw, nagpalit lamang yung isang letra. Imbis na NBA, naging NBL. Pero ganun pa rin po ang pangangarap niya. And of course, sana ito'y makabuti sa programa ng national team kung saan very committed si Kai Sotto. So, outside of this, ito pong sila Thirdy, sila Kobe, si Jack, yung po mga ibang atleta na gusto, si Kiefer dati, si Bobby Ray na naglaro dyan sa labas ng Pilipinas. All of these players are blazing the trail para sa bagong henerasyon ng mga basketball players na gustong maglaro abroad. Ang ating pong mga players ngayon, meron ng bagong pathway towards a career. Hindi na lamang po yung isa lamang ang kanilang option katulad ng PBA o nung araw ay ang PBL. Meron na pong iba't ibang pagkakataong maging hanap buhay talaga ang paglalaro ng basketball. At ito po ang binubuo ng mga batang players natin ngayon na nakikipagsapalaran. Hindi po madali yan. Yang pumasok o magpunta sa ibang bansa at maglaro ng kasama ay mga dayuhan o ibang nationality. Naku, hindi po mahirap yan. Si Thirdy, nasa Japan. Aba, yung pagbabago ng kultura, alam naman natin po kung gaano kahalaga ang culture, ang tradisyon sa mga Hapon. At of course, ngayon si Kai pupunta po sa Australia na iba rin ang pamamalakad, iba rin ang kabuhay, ang buhay po dun sa Australia. So ito po ay mga sapalaran na ginagawa ng ating mga basketball players. At ito po ay ating tututukan dahil, again, this is not only good for the players, it is not only good for the Philippine national team program, but this is also good for the new generation of basketball lovers. Iniintay pa rin natin, no? Si Anthony at si Enzo. So gusto ko lang po munang kamustahin ang ating pong maagang mga suking nakatutok sa atin. Si Tito Butch Mohe mula sa Muntinlupa. Magandang umaga po. Si Crizzy Medina, Zaldi Sejonia, Dominguita Peña at si Matilin Campos. Good morning, everyone. I'd also like to greet a happy birthday dun sa aking mga kaibigan, si Doktora Judy Ann, si Doktora Judy Ann Daluna. Happy birthday, Doc Judy. At kay Anthony Sia, happy birthday, partner. Sana masaya ang iyong pag-birthday. And of course, gusto ko pong batiin ang the love of my life at ang aking pong best friend and my partner. Happy birthday, Irene. I hope you enjoyed your birthday. Naganda kami, wag mong sabihin hindi kami naganda. At maraming bumate. Happy birthday, sweet. All right. Ready na ba ang ating mga guest? Hindi pa. Siguro let's take okay, ready na. Oh, yan, nakuha na rin natin. Naglolo ko kasi yung ating connection kanina. Enzo Flojo and Anthony Suntay. Magandang umaga, gentlemen. Thanks for joining me today.
Good morning, Com. Good morning, Anthony.
Hey, Enzo. How are you doing?
Good.
Maganda.
Ayan ang gusto.
Umagan to.
Oh, maganda to. Unang-una, kakamustahin ko kayo. Alam ko na napakahirap, no? Ang nangyayari, but I'm sure nakatuto kayo about the news. I got you on this topic sapagkat, una-una, Enzo, ikaw, you have always been very focused. Lagi mo tinututukan ang ating mga basketball players na naglalaro sa ibang bansa. And of course, yung ibang bansa din, no? Because you are a FIBA columnist. You have been involved with the FIBA. You've written about a lot of the FIBA Asia Games as well. So, napakahalaga niyan sa ating mga fans. Anthony, I know that you are covering the Japanese League right now and tuloy-tuloy ang pagtutok mo sa ating kababayan na si Thirdy Ravena. So, you're also very much in the loop sa mga nangyayari sa ating mga basketball players outside of the country. And of course, the big news that hit all of us this week was Kai Sotto signing with the Adelaide 36ers. Let's lay the table first here. Enzo, ano bang klaseng liga yung NBL? Ano bang klase yung ligang yan? And tell us a little bit of a backgrounder about it at bakit yan ay napakalaking balita sa pagpirma ni Kai Sotto.
Well, Com, the NBL, of course, is kumbaga the equivalent of the PBA, I guess, in Australia. It's not as big as the NBA or the PBA even in terms of number of teams. Now we have 30 teams in the NBA and 12 teams in the PBA. In the NBL, there are only about 9 teams, if I'm not mistaken. But this is a league with a long history. They've been around for close to 40 years already, and they have teams from 2 countries, actually. They have 8 teams from Australia, and they have 1 team from New Zealand. And they have, since most of their players are Australian, of course, but they also have a lot of international players. No, they have some African players, some American players. They have currently, aside from Kai Sotto, they have 1 Japanese player who's also playing in the NBLs. And it's a very competitive league. Siguro yung level of competition will be comparable to the Euro League, even to China's CBA. So outside of the NBA, this is one of the highest level basketball competitions that any player can aspire to be part of. So that's a brief background on the NBL.
Okay, you mentioned na merong isang player, Hapon, I think it's
Yuday Baba, yes.
Baba, no, that's playing. But of course, the biggest one that came out and very recently is LaMelo Ball.
Yes, yes.
Ang yan bang NBL, just to set this straight, Enzo, no? Puro Australiano yan at saka tiga New Zealand. hindi pwede ang outsider except for that category ni Kai na special
Restricted player, yeah.
So yung si Lamelo was also in that category before?
Actually, no, Com.
Hindi.
Uday Baba and eventually Kai will be counted as SRPs or special restricted players. But what is interesting and innovative about the NBL is, I think this was back in 2018 when they started what they called a Next Stars program, specifically designed for NBA prospects to come over to the NBL, learn the pro basketball environment, learn from professional coaches and managers, get accustomed to the travel and all the other intricacies of professional basketball to prepare them for the next level. And in the Adelaide 36ers, where Kai is going to play, they've already produced one NBA player, si Terence Ferguson, I believe from Oklahoma City. Kai is in good hands because this is a league and a team with a history and pedigree of really, taking care of NBA prospects and eventually helping them get to the next level. Last year, we saw, like you mentioned, LaMelo Ball, highest ever pick from the NBL to the NBA. And of course, kasama niya in last year's batch also was RJ Hampton, who also went to the NBL before jumping to the NBA draft. So I think this is a very good decision for Kai to go, through this pathway.
Anthony, alam natin na ang nangyari kay Kai, he had the plans na magpunta sa NBA via the NBA G League through the Ignite team, which is again another program for youngsters na patungo sa NBA. Maraming nag-question, nagduda doon sa desisyon na yon. And of course, we know what happened there. It became a botched plan. May mga nagsabi, including some sports agents, a guy named Teddy Archer, a known sports agent. Even Eric Mink came out that Europe would have been a better option for Kai. We know that there is the Japan League, there is the CBA, and many other leagues all over the world. Was it a surprise for you na nagdesisyon si Kai to sign with the NBL?
Well, good morning once again. Good morning, Kume. Good morning to all your listeners and of course and your viewers together with Enzo. Para sa akin, it wasn't really a surprise. First and foremost, the surprise for me was the fact that hindi natuloy yung kanyang G League approach. Because alam mo, ang swerte ng mga players ngayon, now they have so many avenues to be able to enter the NBA. Before actually yung G League talaga yung nandoon. And then hopefully, if they play in other leagues around the world, magdadasal ka na lang muna na makita ka ng mga NBA scouts for you to be able to be discovered. But then right now, nakikita natin there are so many different avenues. Mentioned PL, there's obviously Gatorade, the Gatorade League. And at the same time, even if you play in the B League, you play in Europe, the scouts are just all over the place already. And the world has become so much smaller. And so now, you really have a good chance to be able to be seen regardless of where you play. Now, there are definitely better avenues. That's what we're talking about. Now, I think the best avenue really would be the G League because the G League, nakikita natin na talagang doon na nakadestino sa United States. At the same time, they're trying to really inculcate the NBA brand of basketball. Now, that would have been the best option. Unfortunately, para kay Kai, hindi yun ang nangyari. So what he did is he looked for the next best option. Now, if you ask me, dalawa yan. You could have actually gone to Europe or the NBL. Because if you look at the NBL, maganda rin yung kanyang structures. Katulad nga ni sinabi ni Enzo, it used to be one of the top 10 leagues in the world. But now, it's regarded as one of the top 5 in the world in terms of how tough it is. And so he wants to be able to test himself against the toughest competition. Kasi gusto niya ipakita sa mga NBA scouts na karapat-dapat talaga ako makaabot sa NBA ngayon. Hindi nga ako nakaabot dahil I didn't make the grade, so to speak. Maybe the G League, the Ignite team, maybe I might not have been able to showcase my wares there, but now I can showcase my wares dito sa NBL. And if you look at the NBL, they have a big history. I'll go through some of the names a little bit later on. Obviously, Luke Longley played there. And at the same time, he was very instrumental in the 3 championships of the Chicago Bulls. At the same time, pero din dun si Andrew Bogut. And Andrew Bogut, after playing there, became the number 1 overall pick in the NBA in 2005. And
he was a big man. And he was a big man too, no?
He was a big man. He had a very productive career in the NBA. He lasted for 14 seasons. Even had a championship with the Golden State Warriors. Katulad nung binanggit ni Enzo, itong si Terence Ferguson actually also played in the NBL, specifically dito sa Adelaide. And, he was actually drafted 21st overall in the 2017 NBA draft. So you can see that may history na. There's a, you can probably say there's a system that is in place already na medyo solid. Na talagang pag pumunta ka dun, the scouts are really watching the NBL and it gives you a better chance of making it to the NBA, Nolly.
Yung mga binabanggit mo ganyan, Tonyo, yung si Luke and of course si Andrew Bogut, these are good passing big men and we know how good Kai is already as a passing big man. And so let me go to you. One of the things that they say and has been written, kaya daw gusto daw talaga ni Kai na magpunta na kaagad sa NBA, magpapadraft na siya, but he was ineligible dahil nga kakagraduate lang niya sa high school. So nalaman niya, hindi siya pwedeng magpa-draft pa. But outside of that, and that sounds like it's a cop-out lang, no? But outside of that, what other factors do you think made him sign sa NBL?
Well, aside from all the things that Anthony mentioned as well, no, about the NBL having a really great track record of producing NBA-level talent, I think one of the things that probably played into Kai's decision and his family's decision was the fact that Australia is geographically not that far from the Philippines. No? As we've seen over this past week, Kai has strongly reiterated his commitment to play for the national team for Gilas. No? And obviously, if he stayed in the States and if he went to Europe, it would be a bit more challenging to bring him over for training camps, to bring him over for windows in the succeeding years. But now that he's in Australia, and to be clear, he's going to play in the NBL next season, not this season. The current NBL season is ongoing. He will not be playing this season, just so our fans can have some realistic expectations. I think that played a factor. No? The fact that he's in Australia, it'll be a little easier for him to hop over to the Philippines for training camp, to join Gilas.
If there are any
and if there are any games that will be hosted in Australia in the FIBA Asia context, it'll be easier for him as well to join those. So I think that would have probably been a big factor. Another big factor, I think, is that we have a growing Filipino population in Australia as well. In fact, I have a lot of contacts, not in Adelaide, but in neighboring states, in Melbourne and Sydney, who said they're really willing to travel, to cross state borders to get into Adelaide just to watch Kai Sotto play. And I think that's one factor also that played in Kai Sotto's in his decision. But maybe the biggest one is seeing again, and not to belabor the point, but seeing the track record of the NBL to produce results for NBA prospects. So again, LaMelo Ball, RJ Hampton, Terence Ferguson, ang dami ng products ng NBL who've been able to successfully make it to the NBA. And I think overall, that's really the big goal for Kai, to give himself the best possible chance to still get to that level, to get that dream of his.
Absolutely. Of course, andyan din yung factor na napakagandang management ng 36ers. They're coached by a world-class coach, Connor Henry, and a terrific GM. Plus, of course, yung bang language, dahil may mga bali-balita that he was supposed to play in Russia. Yun ang isang offer sa kanya. But alam naman natin, ibang-iba ang salita.
Mahirap yun.
It may have been, of course, the weather as well and the opportunity to play with Gilas, which is already open to him by the 36ers. Plus, of course, yung pera na ibabayad dyan, Anthony, no? Siyempre, $60,000. Wait, but before I get after, we'll just take a quick break. When we come back, Anthony, let me ask you, dati kasi, mukhang sabog yung focus ng mga handlers ni Kai. Gusto nila G-League, gusto nila Gilas, gusto nila pumasok sa NBA. Mukhang nagbago na with the new team. You think that, you sense that? We'll come back to you when we get back from this break. Kami po ay nasa power play. Hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement at ng Cherry Loom. Alright mga kaibigan, bago po tayo magpatuloy, I'd just like to say get well soon sa aking kaibigan si Philip Bernal. Partner, pagaling ka, kayang-kaya mo yan. At this point, kasama pa rin po natin ang ating mga veteran sports analysts, Enzo Flojo at si Anthony Suntay. We're talking about Kai Sotto and ang mga Filipino basketball players playing abroad. Anthony, before the break, I asked you, sabi ko nga, Kai Sotto, just before he made this decision, ang dami niyang gustong gawin sa buhay. Gusto niyang maglaro sa Gilas, gusto niya maglaro sa Ignite, gusto niya maglaro sa G-League, sa NBA, kung saan-saan, no? Do you sense that Kai and his people are now more focused on one direction para sa kanyang career?
I believe so. Pag tinignan naman natin, alam mo, sometimes when you get into uncharted territories, nga sinasabi nila, medyo magulo nga yung isip mo. But then I think they've been able to really streamline everything that they wanted to do. Now, picking up from what Enzo was talking about a while ago, it seemed like they really explored all their options. Kaya sinasabi ni Enzo, kaya niya pinili yung NBL dahil malapit nga, geographically, mas malapit yun. Yes, I definitely agree with that. At the same time, mas iba yung kultura kasi pag sinabi mo yung Russia, definitely iba yung kultura. If he went to Europe, if he went to Spain, sinasabi natin, di ba, may offer dapat sa kanya yung Real Madrid. Iba din yung kultura dun eh. So, I think what his management team and Kai Sotto mismo, together with his parents, really streamlined everything. They thought about everything quite well. In fact, if you really look at it, looking at the fact that maganda nga yung sistema sa NBL, you have to also look at the fact na grabe yung ginawa nitong Adelaide 36ers. If you look at it, they have about I did a little bit of research. They have 1, 2, 3, 4 actually players na naglaro para sa 36ers. They have Mark Bradkey, who eventually played for Adelaide, and then he went to the 76ers in 96 and 97. At the same time, nabanggit na nga natin syempre si Terence Ferguson, who played for them in 2016, 2017, and he was the 21st overall pick, as we said, in the NBA draft noong 2017. Aside from that, they have Mitch Creek. Mitch Creek actually played for them in 2010 to 2018, and he went on to play in the NBA noong 2019. He played for two teams. He played for Brooklyn, and he played for Minnesota. At the same time, ito din si Rick Bronson, if you saw him, he was actually you can say he was a journeyman player, but he actually played in 95 and 96 para dito sa 36ers, and he had a very long NBA career. He played from 1997 to 2006. He played for the Blazers, the Knicks, the Celtics, the Bulls, the Raptors, the Clippers, Seattle. So nakita natin, napakatagal, ano? So obviously, when his team was looking around, they didn't just look for a league that fit him well, but at the same time, they also looked for a team that had success in that their players actually make it to the NBA. And you don't even have to look that far. If you look at the 36ers this year, katulad nga ng sinasabi ni Enzo, yung sinasabi nilang next generation stars, may makakasama actually si Kai sa taong ito, si Josh Giddey.
Yeah.
Who's 6'7", and he's a projected first round NBA sa 2021. And so, dalawa ang posibleng maging draft picks, though Kai did sign for 2 years. So maybe Kai is looking at making it the NBA draft in 2022. Pero itong si Josh Giddey is now looking to be a draft pick in 2021. So after 1 year in the NBL, inaasahan niya na makakapasok na siya dun sa NBA. So we'll see talagang kumusta yung kanyang development. And at the same time, maganda talaga yung structure ng 36ers. But again, you have to also realize the fact that they have produced a lot of NBA players, but they're also looking at team goals. So they will try to develop Kai as much as they can so that he can help their team, but at the same time, they're not developing him in order to make him an NBA prospect dahil aalis lang siya. So, Kai has to really put in the work. He's chosen a right system. Now, he has to make it work, and it all begins with him.
All right. Well, I know, Enzo, that you have to leave us after this in a short while, and I'll give you one final question. Anthony will stay on. Alam natin, marami nang nabanggit si Anthony ng mga names there in the Adelaide 36ers history as well as their current lineups. Josh Giddey is one name na aabangan natin yan. Their coach Connor Henry has said that Kai is obviously a work in progress. He's got great potential, great hands, and let me quote him: great hands, able to shoot from range, developing an inside man, and he gives clever passes. When you look at the history of the NBL, how much of the needle in the draft board do you think will this move Kai up sa papatungo sa NBA? Pangalawang tanong ko sa iyo, Enzo, is do you see any concerns? Do you see any downside dito sa pagpasok ni Kai sa NBL?
Well, obviously it depends a lot on how he performs. But knowing Kai and his drive to really reach that goal of his of making it to the NBA, and the fact that when he was with us in Ateneo, he was such a sponge, just trying to learn so many things from all the coaches. I will not be surprised if he's able to really improve his game in Australia, specifically in Adelaide. He's going to be banging bodies against a lot of guys who might not be as tall as him, but who are certainly older than him, more experienced, and much heftier than he is. In Adelaide alone, I think he'll have around 2 or 3 teammates who are about 6'10" or taller. So every single practice, makakabanggaan niya yan. And if he's able to absorb all the experience, all the wisdom from his fellow players and from his coach, I think that'll really boost his stock in the NBA draft, just to be able to thrive at that environment. That'll really give NBA scouts a lot more checks in their checklist, so to speak, for Kai Sotto. If there are any downsides, we're talking about Kai, who's still very young. He's 18 years old. And when he enters the NBL preseason, I think he's going to be the youngest maybe on this team. So I hope that he will be mature enough to really handle all the pressures, all the challenges. And I'm sure he's going to face certain challenges and setbacks in this experience. And what I hope is all those setbacks will just help him grow in maturity, and hopefully all these things will really prepare him well for the NBA. I hope that all the pressure that he will undoubtedly face will not get to him so much or will not weigh him down, but instead, make him stronger as he grows in his young basketball career.
All right, just hahabol lang ako. Obviously this is a big boost to the national team, a big boost to Philippine basketball. It sets the table for the next generation. Who are the other prospects, Enzo, na ngayon ay nakikita mo, nasa labas na ng bansa, na maaaring mag-benefit dito sa ginawa ni Kai Sotto na to?
Well, certainly a lot. I mean, we just found out that Kobe already joined the same group that Kai, that's handling Kai. So I think Kobe is realizing that maybe there are horizons or options beyond the Philippines that may give him a pretty strong chance of reaching his own NBA dreams as well. Within that East-West private group, there are so many Phil-Ams or Phil-Foreigners as well who are, at alam ng mga fans natin yan, who have the potential to really make names for themselves as well. Cholo Anunuevo, who played for the FEU Baby Tamaraos, is part of that group, and he certainly has a lot of potential. Sage Tolentino, who's about 7 feet tall as well, Filipino-American, based in Hawaii before, he certainly has a lot of potential as well. So these are just some of the names who can potentially benefit from the trail that's been blazed by Kai and 30, this past year. And personally, I'm hoping that a lot of Filipinos consider this as well. It's great that, as Anthony mentioned, this generation and future generations, they have so many options already from where to go and what to use to be able to reach their dreams or their goals. So hopefully they recognize this and really maximize these chances.
All right. And so I'll have to let you go because I know you've got another thing going. Ang busy mo. But thank you for joining Anthony and I this morning. Maraming salamat, Enzo.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Anthony. Take care.
But, I'll continue, Anthony, with the discussion here. I just have a few questions, and specifically, this is about 30. We've seen how Kai has now, started to take this path towards, pero syempre, nauna na si 30 dito. How does the B-League, now that you've been watching this, how does the B-League compare perhaps to the NBL? And do you think that 30 is getting the training that he was also looking for?
To a certain extent, that could be answered with a yes and also with a no. Now, when to answer your first question, yung sinasabi mo, kumusta naman yung level ng B-League? If you look at the B-League in general, because the Japanese players are really the locals, when you look at it, when you break it down, kasi you look at the entire league, mataas nga yung level nila. That's because of the fact that they actually have 2 imports. Actually, they have 3 imports per team. 2 imports are allowed to play Noli at the same time. Now, at the same time, pag tinignan mo naman yung mga local players, basketball is starting to grow in Japan. It's not as big as it is in the Philippines. It's not as big as it is in China. Pero humahabol na sila, Noli. So, if you look at it, kung pag ako sa mga local players, talagang medyo angat pa rin ang konti to si 30 because of the level of play that we locals have. Now, when you look at the league as a whole, because they do have 3 imports per team, 2 playing at the same time, tapos yung mga ibang teams, meron din yung mga sinasabi ng mga Asia quota imports, the level definitely increases. Now, it's not as strong, if you ask me, as the NBL, because the physicality in the NBL is really something else if you really talk to the experts there. Pero pag nakita mo naman natin, Noli, the B League is definitely one of the top leagues, not just in Asia, but also around the world. They've also produced a lot of players that have been able to make it to Europe, to the NBA. And so, mataas din yung kanyang antas. And so, for 30, he's getting a taste, if you ask me, of professional basketball. Dahil syempre,
Right.
iba yung talaga nakakapaglaro ka with pros. It's different playing with people who are being paid to actually play. And at the same time, na-experience din niya yung pagbabiyahe. Parang yung ginagawa sa NBA. That's not that you will not experience here in the PBA.
Actually, tama yan,
Essentially,
Anthony.
yes.
I think part of the training really is getting that pro life para masanay ka sa professional life. 30 is getting that with that home and away format na nangyari. And obviously, si Kai will get this as well. But, let me talk about playing minutes. How much is 30 getting sa kanyang team, sa B-League, sa Neo Phoenix? And do you think si Kai will get the minutes that he needs? Because that's one downside that I can see. He's young. He's playing behind such big guys like Isaac Humphries, dyan sa kupunan ng Adelaide 36ers. Do you think that that might have an effect? And is that having an effect on 30?
That might have an effect on Kai if you really look at it. In fact, yun yung naging problema nga, remember ni Kobe, when he went to the United States to be able to play college basketball, because he wanted to be able to get the minutes. Because you need to be able to be given the minutes in order for you to be able to, number 1, deliver, and at the same time, number 2, is develop your game. Ang problema nga dito kay 30, unfortunately, parang medyo masasabi mong, he did not get off to a good start already sa Neo Phoenix, number 1. Number 2, the injury bug and COVID-19 actually hit him harder than most of the other players. Ang nangyari kasi kay 30 dito, when he actually entered, after he signed, he tried to go to Japan right away, pero medyo naipit yung mga papeles niya dito. So he couldn't fly immediately at the start of the season. So the season started without 30. Pagdating ni 30 dun, meron siyang 14-day quarantine. So he was just watching his teammates on television and seeing them in practice, pero hindi naman talaga siya makasali sa kanila. So what happened was, he came in kind of late. At the same time, medyo nahirapan din yung kanyang kupunan because a lot of their imports were in and out of the lineup as well because they were also hit with the injury bug. So Nenad Miljanovic was out for quite some time, and they weren't able to really inculcate his play together with 30's play and their 2 other imports. So, pag tinignan mo yun, talagang medyo masasabi mong hirap na hirap si 30. Then, kapalik na siya, nakalaro na siya, and then all of a sudden, he got hit by COVID-19. So, he had to sit out again for another 2 weeks. Humina na naman.
All right.
Obviously, di ba, things didn't work out. When he came back, biglang he had a thumb injury. He fractured his thumb, and then he was out for almost 3 months, And then he had to came back, so he had to re-strengthen himself. He had to get his legs back from under him. And at the same time, kailangan na naman niya mahanap yung chemistry. You're looking at the numbers. Alam mo, if you look at the numbers of 30 Ravenna, he's only played about 22 minutes per contest. All the other imports, like Stevan Jelovac is averaging 30 minutes. Kyle Hunt is also averaging 30 minutes. Now, itong si 30 is only getting about a little over 20 minutes. So, it's not really giving him that much opportunity to be able to shine. But despite the fact that hindi siya nabibigyan ng ganong karami oras, he's had decent numbers. He's averaging about 9 points a ball game, 4 rebounds, and he has about 2 assists and 1 steal. So kung tutusin mo, those are decent numbers.
Yeah.
Now, going back to Kai, if he's not given the kind of exposure that you and I would want him to get for him to be able to develop properly, that might be a stumbling block. Now, at the same time, and I mentioned that a while ago, remember, Adelaide is going to be there to develop him because they want him to develop so they can help his team, but they're not going to be able to be there to develop him for his personal gain para makaalis siya at pumunta sa NBL. So, everything really falls on the shoulders of Kai. So, I think it starts in practice. Pag pinakita niya sa coaching staff na ganito akong kagaling, hindi niyo ako pwedeng bangkuin, kailangan niyo akong palaruin kasi I can help your team right here, right now, that will give him the opportunity to shine in front of the NBA scouts pag nakalaro siya. So everything really starts from him and in practice.
I have about a minute dito, Anthony, no? And I want to ask you, nakita na natin, Kai is on the way to the NBL, 30 is in the B-League. Kobe is going to the US. Also, naghahanap siya ng greener pastures. How big of a boost is this to the Philippine national team sa Gilas program natin? Kai obviously will play. Sinabi na niya yan. He will play for Gilas. Ang problema kay 30, yung kontrata niya, or rather the season does not allow him to play dahil nga tuloy-tuloy ang laro ng B-League. But how does this boost ang Gilas program, Antonio?
I think it boosts it tremendously because not only the fact that, a lot of the local grown players are now starting to be able to showcase their wares abroad, pero pati na rin yung mga Philams natin. In fact, actually, we'll just say Phil foreigners because we have a lot of foreign players playing in Australia. We have a lot of Phil foreigners playing in Europe as well. And, they're not just anymore looking to play in their respective leagues back home. A lot of them are looking to be able to come back and play here in the PBA, but the PBA might not even have all the space for them. So there are other leagues for them to be able to now apply and play and showcase their wares. Ngayon, that's going to be a good problem para sa ating coaching staff. Because now, they're scouting all these players in all these leagues, and ngayon, they can really actually handpick them and bring them over here. And just like what happened in international football, we can see the likes of Lionel Messi playing in Barcelona, and then he's handpicked by the national team of Argentina.
Absolutely.
Play for them. So, mas madali yun, Noli. I think with all these leagues flourishing all over the world, and a lot of our players can now start playing in those leagues, they can really start to shine in their own respective areas. And then pag kailangan natin sila, bring them back to the Philippines just to play for the national team.
Absolute. Ang grabe yan. Can you imagine Kai, 30, AJ, Edu coming in, and Kobe, and Junmar, and our Pogoy, CJ Perez. Oh my goodness. That will be a team. And of course, hopefully you got Kwame, even Jordan Clarkson. Well, the future is bright, Anthony.
Yes, it is.
Kaya nung panahon natin na tayo nag-cover, hindi tayo makakita ng ganyang kalalaki. But now, it's really something else. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, Anthony. Always a pleasure seeing you. Enjoy your golf, partner.
We'll see you soon on the golf course.
Thank you. Yan po mga kaibigan, ng ating kaibigan, si Anthony Suntay, ang ating kaibigang veteran sports analyst. Again, talking about Kai Sotto, 30 Ravenna, and all the players playing outside ng ating bansa. Really a bright future para sa Pilipinas at sa national team. At this point, mga kaibigan, balikan muna natin ang best moments sa kasaysayan ng palakasan this week in sports history. April 20, 1986, o 35 years na nakalilipas, nang sungkitin ni Michael Jordan ang record na pinakamaraming punto sa loob ng isang playoff game sa NBA. Umiskor si Jordan ng 63. 63 mga kapatid, big points sa kanilang first round matchup kontra sa number 1 seed na Boston Celtics. Ang sabi nga sa kanya ng Boston star na si Larry Bird, it's God disguised as Michael Jordan. Pero sa kabila ng outburst ni Jordan, yumuko pa rin ang Chicago Bulls sa Celtics sa double overtime final score, Boston 135, Chicago 131. Michael Jordan scores 63 points against the Celtics this week in sports history. Wow, incredible. And that's why he is perhaps the greatest player sa NBA history. All right. Gusto ko po magpasalamat sa puntong ito sa lahat po ng tagapagtaguyod ng Power and Play. At of course, unahin muna natin ang Big Boss Cement, Big Boss sa tatag, Big Boss sa tibay. Nandito na ang Big Boss Cement, di basta matitipag, approved sa kalikasan at sobrang abot kaya. Big Boss Cement is the first eco-friendly cement company in the Philippines. First and only cement that is produced with low to 0% of high carbon footprint materials. Big Boss Cement, Big Boss sa Tatag, Big Boss sa Tibay. Marami po salamat kay Engineer Gilbert Cruz. Sunod dyan, of course, ang Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum. Sa ganitong pabago-bago ang panahon, mga kababayan, sobrang init tapos biglang uulan, kailangan natin ng matibay at protektadong bubong. Dapat ang bubong ay yerong may aluminum. Kapag may aluminum, tiyak na pang matagalan. At isa lang ang alam kong dekalidad na yerong may aluminum. Yan ang Cherry Loom. Tibay protektado sa pang matagalang yero. Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum. Thank you so much kay paring Elmer Ngo ng Cherry Loom. Katubang din natin, of course, ang Elms Resto Bar Group na meron pong branches dyan po sa Elms Tapas and Winery located sa Calle Bistro, Commonwealth, Quezon City at sa Elms Grill and Bar sa Poblacion, Makati. You may call mobile number 0977-157-0499 o 0966-854-4048 or visit their FB and IG pages at Elms Resto Bar Group for reservations and inquiries. Thank you so much kay Miss Malu Yambao sa Elms Resto Bar Group. Thank you also sa Joyride, ang bago ninyong kasundo. Dahil ayaw naming nahihirapan ka, book Joyride Motorcycle Taxi now and experience hassle-free commute. Available po ang MC Taxi sa Metro Manila, Metro Cebu. And of course, kapag delivery naman, Joyride ang gamitin. Bagsak presyo pero hindi ang serbisyo. Joyride is now on its lowest rates ever. Available po to, including sa Cebu at Metro Manila, sa lalawigan ng Laguna. Download the latest Joyride and Happy Move app. Thank you also to Makakausap Professional, your school of makeup artistry, the official makeup of Power and Play. And of course, marami po salamat sa Skin, your face and body anti-aging center with branches at Wilson Street, San Juan City at Alabang Town Center sa Muntinlupa City. We provide Indiba tissue regeneration procedure, mesotherapy, Maximus Trilipo, and many more to take care of your body needs. For inquiries, please call 0917-890-1640 or 0977-809-8886. Marami po salamat sa lahat ng mga sumusuporta sa Power and Play. Alright, ngayon po, ipapasok ko ngayon ang isang naging panayam ko na ginawa po nung isang araw. This is with a guy who has been in the news, lalong-lalo na dahil sa kanyang mga naging desisyon sa kanyang playing career. A former MVP and a former Rookie of the Year. Ito po ang aming interview with Machine Gun Kelly Williams ng TNT Tropang Giga. But you know, you've made news again last March when you decided to sign a new contract with Pocket-Dex. But of course, the bigger news was back in September when you decided to retire. And you know, the reasons remain hazy for me, at least for me. You know, you made a statement, and let me just quote a little bit about what you posted before. You said that you could still play for the next 4 or 5 years strong, but sometimes some things are out of your control. And there's a lot of things and intricacies within the business that sometimes you just got to deal with the best way you can. That was your statement then, Kelly. Are you ready now to divulge what are these things that are out of your control, and what are those things that are so intricate that you made that decision?
Well, I mean, people that have been around basketball and the PBA in particular understand that it's a business, and you know, I've seen a lot of players come and go and get the short end of it. You know, for me personally, Kamisha, it was you know, I don't want to get too deep into it. Sure. As far as, you know, all the details, as to not seemingly throw anybody under the bus or anything like that, because that's definitely not my intent. But you know, there was just some disagreements and some things that I wasn't happy with at the time, and with the business also on the court, you know, the last several years, not really being happy with how I was being played as a player. So when the business side of things got a little murky, that's when, you know, for me it was like, you know what, maybe it's time to kind of get myself out of the way, because I felt like it was just kind of tearing me apart on the inside. I love the sport, I love the game, and I've tried to give back to it here in the Philippines as the best way I can, and try to play the game the right way, and conduct myself within the business side as best I can, as the best as I know. So I felt it was the best decision for me then, just to leave it alone altogether, because I felt if I fought anymore, it would just get really ugly. And I don't want that to be the image left on whatever legacy I might have here in the Philippines.
Well, I've always known you to be that kind of person, Kelly. You've been a gentleman off and on the court, and that's why you've enamored yourself to many, many fans, as well as, of course, to a lot of players, coaches, and league officials. And so let me just, I guess, put it another way. In as much as I really don't want to belabor the point, but again, all of these factors that you're talking about, in other words, were internal to the team and personal to you, I guess.
It became personal for me, yeah. As far as obviously why I made this decision, it wasn't best for the team. The way I went about it wasn't the best way. You know, after the day after I announced, the articles came out, Kelly's AWOL, and I got all the questions and things like that. So it wasn't the best way that I didn't handle it the best way. Looking back, it was there was a better way to go about it, and maybe even salvage the situation and be able to play in the bubble last year. Maybe not. I don't know, but that's not how it went down. So, like I said, yeah, for the next several months, I had to deal with myself and do a lot of internal work and just try to move forward the best way I can, you know, and not harbor any bitterness or anger towards anyone. You know, the franchise and the company has just been nothing but great for me for the last 11 years now. And I have nothing but respect for the management and the organization altogether. At the time, I just made an emotional decision, a really rash decision. And I kind of felt my back was against the wall. And obviously with the pandemic and dealing with all this stuff, you know, it didn't help the situation for me, and dealing with it on my own, because, you know, my kids are in the States, and, you know, I had a dog at the time, and it was just a lot of things going on. I was like, you know what, I just need some time. So, but like I said, Commish, with that said, I just wanted to make sure it didn't get any worse. So yes, I made a rash decision, but I pulled out for the sake of not making it any worse for myself or for
everyone else. So, that's exactly. Well, 6 months that you were technically retired, were you, as you mentioned, you had to deal with this on your own. What were you thinking then? I mean, what were you planning to do after? You know, technically, if you had stayed retired, what were your plans, Kelly?
My immediate plan when what was it, late September or early September that happened. You know, the immediate plan was like, you know what, I'm gonna move back to the States. I'm gonna, you know, move somewhere close to my kids, because that's been the hardest thing for the last 5 years, being apart from them. And contact my people, my network, and see what I can do. I've put some things in place over the last several years to kind of help me transition, but I was nowhere near ready to jump into that yet, because I still wanted to play.
Exactly. So there was really no peace in that decision, Ken.
There was no. The only peace that I did have was knowing that I didn't have to deal with the business stuff and the pressures that I felt on that side of basketball. Now, it only took about maybe 6 or 7 weeks for me to realize, you know what, I wasn't done with ball. I was done with dealing with the business in that way. So that became tough for the next couple of months. And then going back and forth about whether or not I would even pursue playing again. So Yeah, but yeah, I would have to.
Did-
I was gonna contact my network and see what was gonna happen next.
So let me get it straight. Did you think of playing again outside of the PBA, Kelly? Was
I
that an
thought
option?
about it.
Yeah.
It was an option. I got a couple calls from different people from different leagues. It just it didn't sit with me well because I felt like if I'm gonna play, it's gonna be the PBA. Just because how things transpired during the retirement, it just left a bad taste in my mouth. And so, that was the second time that I retired. The first time for trying to salvage the marriage and deal with my health and all types of things.
Right.
So there was a little more peace with that, though I
Yeah.
still came back, obviously. But this one, it was just like, if I'm going to play, which, like I said, I was on the fence about, if I'm going to play, it's going to be the PBA because I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave on that note. So I knew if I was going to play again, it was going to be the PBA.
Okay.
But
so you got to that point, maybe sleepless nights during that particular period of time
Several.
when you were thinking about it, and of course looking at the way you're going to transition. You were uncomfortable maybe with the decision. What made you change your mind? Where did the discussion start? Just to get your mind moving back towards playing with talk and text. Did it have anything to do with the appointment of Coach Shot Reyes?
Yeah, I'll say it was two things. The thing that perked my ears up was a text, and then the thing that made me say, "Oh, this quite well might happen," was a DM on IG. So the text was from Ryan Reyes, and it had to be somewhere like 3 a.m. because he was in California at the time, and I was here in Manila. And so I saw him, I was like, "Why is he messaging me?" It had to be like 3 or 4 a.m. in Cali, and it said, the text said, "Hey man, Shot's back. Are you coming back? Or when are you coming back?" I was like, "Yeah, right. These Shot's not back." And then he was like, "Check the news." So I went on Instagram, which is where I get all my up-to-date current events, and definitely check my messages, and there was one from Shot, and it just said, "Are you ready to come back?" And I was like, "Oh shit, this is real." So
this is real, yeah.
Yeah, like it's real. So literally from that minute on, I was like, all right. I started kind of weighing everything up. I was like, all right, let's see how we might be able to do this. So 100% with Chalk coming back, that's what pushed me over the edge.
Well, obviously you've had a terrific relationship with Coach Shot. You've won 3 championships in talk and text with him. You were recruited by Coach Shot. You played for the national team because of Coach Shot, and obviously there's more than just a professional relationship there. But when you look at this, what was the thing that you missed most about when during that time and when you finally decided, yeah, I'm coming back?
What did I miss most about?
I guess being with the team and in fact being with the PBA. Did you even watch the bubble games, Kelly, when you decided to take a leave?
I honestly, Commish, I watched Talk and Text. I probably watched 90% of the rest of the league as well. As a player, and then anybody, all players can attest. When you're out of the game, it's just in you, so you're gonna miss it. I imagine I'm gonna miss the game when I'm 60 and probably still think I can play. So, definitely missed the game. And as time went on, once I started kind of reflecting and seeing how my mistakes and what led to where I was, I really was I was missing the team, but I just felt like, man, I want to make it up to those guys, and just I wish. And then watching the finals, it's like, man, I wish I could be there. And I really felt disappointed within myself. It's like, watching. It's like sitting on the sideline and watching your soldiers, lose a battle, lose a war. That was tough for me. But that's also a motivation to come back as well.
Right.
But like I said, with Chot coming back, it was just like, for me, it was a no-brainer.
Obviously your team needed you during that bubble conference, because they played a team that had a lot of size, and of course you got a lot of injuries as well during that final stretch. But that's all water under the bridge. Now we're looking at almost a souped-up team. You've got a lot of new teammates coming in. But how do you see your role now, Kelly? Now that you've signed a fresh contract with TNT, a 2-year contract, how do you see your role moving forward with this team?
I think obviously the big side of it is, the big part of it is, the bringing the experience, as a veteran, and that automatically comes with it. Being a veteran and being around the league for so long, your experience and being around the younger players and wanting to help the best way you can. So that's a given. But then also with, like I said, with Chot coming back and having a good understanding of what he expects, not only from me, but from the team, and as from the players as professionals, and kind of helping guide the younger guys in that way, is going to be a big part on me, on Jason, Ryan, the guys that have been around for a while and have been in that core championship run with Chot. But then there's also, for the last several years, I would say from after Coach Norman Black left, from that point on, I've really only been used for like maybe 50% of my actual, playing abilities and stuff like that. So,
Right.
Which was kind of a blessing, because I didn't put much mileage on my body, and I was able to build, and with the building and the changing my body, that only helps. So that's why I've been so confident in saying, I can play for the next several years, because I've only been used at 50% capacity, and I've revamped my body over the years. So, but now looking forward, and
there's a lot left in the
playing
tank
now. There's a lot left in the tank. There's a lot of desire. I'm one of those. I feel like, you see those pit bulls on the chain leashes, just ready to just let me go. And Chot's one of those coaches who, you come in and be in shape, and if you're ready to play, he's going to let you go and be free and play your game. And that's what I love most about playing with him. And I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, like I told Chot on our first meeting, we had dinner maybe days after that Instagram exchange over at his house, and I told him, this is the first time in a long time I've been excited about basketball. It's a different kind of feeling. It's a fresh feeling, and I'm just looking forward to being out there with my guys, being out there with Chot, being able to play fully, and see what happens.
Are there any concerns in your mind about the situation that we find ourselves in terms of the bubble itself, in terms of the pandemic? We know that earlier in your career, Kelly, you were treating a rare blood disorder, and obviously, the pandemic, we do not know a lot about this thing. We do not know how this will actually affect many people. Is that even a concern for you at this point?
Yeah, no. As far as my condition, no. What a lot of people don't know, for the last maybe 3 years, I've been medication free. My condition I've been fine. That hasn't been an issue for me, or even on my mind, for several years now. Yeah, it's been great. And there's a lot of things I think contributed to that, from eating different to just treating myself different, and peace of mind and my lifestyle changes. So it's been great. But as far as the pandemic, it's hit me just like everybody else, trying to find ways to stay motivated to work out, trying to find ways to stay encouraged to just do something throughout the day, despite being locked down and, sometimes alone. Like for me, I live alone. I've been pretty much solo for the last year plus now. And I'm just seeing my friends here and there, over the past year or whatever. But I just try to take time to utilize that time to reflect and grow spiritually and mentally, and what can I do to keep myself moving, because I know that if I sit still, just like a lot of people, you'll just kind of start to fold and get in your mind and get discouraged. So as far as looking at it in the bubble, with the PBA, it's going to be a battle. I know it was tough for a lot of guys in that bubble last year.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. It's tough to be in. I can't imagine doing it just because I don't want to have a roommate for that long. I think that's going to be the biggest. That's going to be the biggest. I like to walk around naked. I like to sing and dance, and I don't think my roommate would appreciate it.
But
so
being alone for a year and a half, that's going to be hard for you. Staying in that bubble.
It's hard. I'm at the base of me. I'm an introvert. I'm really an ambivert, but I'm introverted at heart. So I don't mind. I actually didn't mind being home. And it was a good reason to, if I got invites, I was like, well, no, I can't. There's a pandemic going on, but really I don't want to go anyway. So anyway.
All right. Let me ask you about, have you even met the new guys in the team? You've got some very interesting people coming into the team. How do you assess the Tropang Giga, this new core that you have? How do you feel the team will perform this season?
It's gonna be exciting. Those young guys are they're really good. The guys, I mean, just the core, the team in general is just really good. And the most successful teams that I've played with, especially on the shot, the big thing is having character, being professional, no egos. And looking at the team right now, there are no egos. Guys really want to work. Guys want to learn. And the guys want to be there. So I think when you have that sort of environment and atmosphere on the team, you can really do anything. You can work on skills, but it's hard to adjust a person's character if they have an ego trip. So I'm excited, and obviously they're just talent. I'm looking forward to watching Poi continue to grow as a player. Kib is really he's amazing. And then now having Glenn Coventin, he's always been tough to play against. To have him, just a bunch of guys that just want to work and play, and that's always exciting to play with.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned some of your teammates. Of course, RR and Troy are all there. It's the core. Of course, you mentioned Jason and Ryan, but there are two players who are still not there. And what kind of advice do you have for a guy like Bobby Ray, for instance? And before I go to Mikey Williams, who's also not yet signed, he was your top pick this draft. But let me go first to Bobby Ray. Any kind of, based on your experience, Kelly, is there something that you want to, send out to Bobby Ray at this point, given all that he is going through right now in his career?
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, just like with my situation, it's on the outside, when you've dealt with the business for as long as I have, you get an understanding of how it can be. So I definitely, though I don't know 100% his situation and how everything went down, but I know how it can get, and I know how frustrating it can get as the player. And I've reached out to Ray, and we exchanged a little bit. So I get where he's at, and he knows how I feel about everything. I would just say, and just like I told him, and it's no secret, just make sure you don't leave anything to chance. Talk directly to who you need to talk directly to, and don't leave anything in for chance to be miscommunicated, misunderstood, because that happens all the time. So for him, I hope they can mend fences and work something out, because he's a great teammate. He's an amazing player, and we could obviously he would only help the cause on what we're trying to do this year.
Oh, all right, and of course there's another Williams coming in here. Mikey Williams was
the
your
other Williams,
first round. Well, maybe the not so good looking Williams, not as good looking as the original Williams here, Kelly. Again, Mikey has not yet signed per the latest report. Are you confident that he will come on board, and how big of a pickup is Mikey Williams for Talk and Text?
I don't know a lot about Mikey. I've seen clips here and there, but I've heard that he's a really excellent talent. Obviously, playing. I think he played in the G League, right, in the States.
Yeah.
That's no small feat. So, being that I don't know much about him, I would say, given his resume, and from what I've heard, it would be great to have him. But as it stands, he hasn't signed yet. They haven't figured everything out. I think the focus is just to, we just keep the ball moving, keep the train moving, and if he's here, that'd be great. That would be great. If not, we just got to focus on what we have, which is already an amazing group of guys. So, but hopefully they can work things out to, get him over, and we can start working soon.
All right. Well, it's been a terrific journey for you. You've won almost everything that can be won in the PBA. Rookie of the Year, MVP, championships, all-star appearances. You've been with the national team. You've gone through the whole roller coaster from retiring to unretiring. Now this new chapter in your career, Kelly. I know you're a deep man of faith. I know how principled you are. What does this new chapter in your career mean to you now, Kelly?
I think months ago, Kamish, I would have said, it's about redemption and whatever. Honestly, I just love the game. And for me, it comes down to, I don't want to look back 10, 20 years from now and say, man, I wish I would have taken those opportunities, when I could, when I had that body, when I had that mindset, when the window was open. And, I'm no fool. I'm not, disillusioned. I know I only have a few more years left. I just turned 39 in February.
I know that.
And this is a young man's game, and the league is only getting younger. So, but the big thing for me, Commissioner, is just taking advantage of the opportunities that I have in front of me, and so that when I do fully, honestly lay my career down, I can say I did the best I could, and I hope my kids are proud of me. I hope my mom's proud of me, and my sister, and I hope the Filipino fans can look back on my career and say, man, that guy gave everything he had, nothing kept him down, and hopefully that be inspiring to people. So that's really the legacy I want to leave when my time is done here, and that's what it's about. Like I said, with Chop being back now, thank you, Coach, for being back. You've not only giving me an opportunity to do all those things I just talked about, but to do it in a way that that will feel right to me, and respectable for myself. So like I said, Commiss, I'm excited. It should be good. It should be good going into this next year.
Well, we're looking forward to it, Kelly. You've got all those monikers. I know that you've had a terrific career, a lot of reputation that precedes you. But one thing I know, you are truly a gentleman off and on the court, and I truly admire what you've done with yourself and with the way you have treated this game that we all love. I just wish that that 2-year contract, Kelly, just don't retire within those 2 years again. I want to see you play all the way until you complete that contract.
I think they're going to have to kick me out. Thank you, Commish. Appreciate you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Take
God
care.
bless you. God bless you, and see you soon. See you in the
Take
court. Mga kaibigan, yan po si Kelly Williams ng TNT Tropang Giga. Ang dami namin pinagsamahan ni Kelly. He entered when I was commissioner. I read his name as the #1 pick back in 2006. Ni-recruit siya para maglaro sa Gilas, Pilipinas, or rather for the national team. Hindi pa Gilas ng panahon na yon. I know the story back then. Ang dami na frustrate. Of course, he played for Santa Lucia. Won a championship, went to TNT, and everything else is history. But one thing I know, napakabuting tao, and I'm just happy that Kelly Williams is back. All right, marami pa po tayo pag-usapan sa aming pagbabalik. Norman Black, pagpapatuloy natin ang ating interview with Coach Norman Black. And of course, babasahin po natin ang inyong mga opinion sa Pulso ng Bayan sa pagbabalik ng Power and Play, hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement at ng Cherry Loom. Nagbabalik po ang inyong paboritong Power and Play. Siya nga pala, gusto ko lang batiin ang mga nakatutok sa atin. Si Koyang Vic De Leon Lima. Magandang umaga sa iyo at sa iyong anak na nanonood daw sa ating ngayong umagang ito. Gusto ko rin pong kamustahin ang ating kaibigan si Adrian Flores, ang publisher at editor ng The Perfect Drive PH, isang golf magazine. Good morning, partner. At of course, gusto ko pong batiin si Mark Baroka ng isang happy birthday. Nako, Mark! Magpakain ka naman! At this point din, marami na po nagpadala ng inyong mga komentaryo dun sa ating pinupulsuhan ngayong araw na ito. Yung pong tanong natin, Kai Sotto sa Australia, Kobe para sa Amerika, pabor ba kayo dito? Ito, babasahin ko yung ilan sa mga nagpadala ng kanilang komentaryo sa pamamagitan ng ating Facebook at sa Twitter. Si J. Lord, sabi niya, who are we to question the paths taken by our kababayans who want to follow their dreams? Let's just support and pray for them. Sabi naman ni Bull Bear, yes, for both Australia, a good stepping stone for Kai and Kobe. We don't know, he may also end up in Australia or other pro leagues. Anywhere outside PBA with better and taller competition is best. Sabi naman ni Mark, the only thing that's going for Kobe Paras right now is his height. Everything else is okay. Hindi na siguro natin babasahin yan. Sabi lang niya, meron siya mga komentaryo dun sa mga paglalaro daw ni Kobe. Ganyan po talaga. Si Kobe Paras has his own style. Wag po natin siyang... but definitely, Kobe has a lot of potential. Sana ma-realize niya yung buong potential na yon. Mula kay Miguel Venco, MGL, MVNGC. Kai, yes, Kobe, we'll see. Good luck to both of them. Mula kay Pinoy Ako, agree, wag muna sa PBA, physical laro ng mga Australian, mas mahasa at titibay si Kai doon. Sana makakuha siya ng playing time. Sabi naman ni Kobe Kalea, ba? Kobe din ang pangalan nito. Siguro talagang idol na. Kobe Kaluya. Good morning, Komnoli. Very entertaining show, especially basketball fanatics here in our country. By the way, I'm an ultimate Kobe Bryant. Ayun, sabi ko na nga. And Kobe Paras fan. I also love Kai Sotto's NBA dream. Hopefully, he will make it. His decision to play sa NBL would give him a big lift to eventually playing in the NBA. Marami po salamat. Marami pa to yung mga pagbati sa atin ni Bax Libatic na suki ng Power and Play. Every week daw siyang nanonood. Mula rin kay Jafab Villar, watching from Dumaguete City. Si Kaler Pagpiaginto mula sa Zamboanga. Naku, ang dami nito At si Lilian Mercantes, Barcila Tarang, ang dami pa po. Marami po salamat sa lahat ng inyong suporta para sa Power and Play. Last week, atin pong ipinalabas yung interview ni Coach Norman Black, at least the first part. Pinag-usapan niya ang kanyang karanasan sa loob ng bubble, ang kanyang thoughts about the Mac Bello trade at ang pagkawala ni Baser Amel. Where ipapasok po natin muli ang second part ng interview natin with the head coach ng Meralco Bolts, kung saan kaagad pinag-usapan niya ang kanyang anak na si Aaron Black. Ito po ang ating interview with Norman Black. What part of his game do you see can he improve on, Norman?
Oh, everything. Everything. I thought that, there were two trains of thoughts last conference with Aaron, and I'll just be straight for your audience about this. Some said that he's my son, you're giving him playing time because he's your son. Others said that I didn't play him enough. Opportunities where he actually was playing well, and I played it safe by, bringing him out of the game and playing the veterans. So there's two ways you can look at that. My feeling is he took advantage of the playing time that he had. He will have an opportunity to play the point guard position. That's one of the reasons why we were able to trade Baser, because he will step up. Travis Jackson, I'm expecting him to step up also. I still have Nards Pinto, like I mentioned, and also Angelo Karam. So I'm expecting him to be able to step in and do more this conference. Now, how much more? It'll be just like last conference. I'll let him decide. You always decide how much you're going to play depending on your performance.
Right.
If you can be productive on the basketball court, if he can be productive on the basketball court and earn the minutes, then he'll play those minutes. If not, then I'll go to the next guy. That's the way that works. Well, I'm not trying to show favoritism because, my other players would read that immediately.
Yeah.
So obviously he has to get out there and perform and do well for him to get more playing time.
Well, I know that's a lot of responsibility for a young player, but Aaron has always been known as a tough basketball player. People only see your side, but it's even tougher on your son's side because obviously there's a lot of expectation and of course a lot of criticism as well. But let me go. You mentioned about.
But if I can, this is the fun part. This is the fun part about it. He loves playing the game of basketball.
Absolutely.
So he just has to go out there and play. I mean, we work out every single day almost. 6 days a week. So, he just has to let his playing do his talking.
Absolutely. And we expect a lot from Aaron indeed. You mentioned about the depth that this team has gotten from the trades that you've made and of course the signings that you've done. Obviously that is part of that is the draft where you had you picked up 3 players. Of course, Alvin Pasaol is the a piece that you really took in the first round. You had Jay Ariasa and Louis Brill. First of all, have you signed all of these 3 players or is it just Alvin so far?
No, it's only Alvin that we signed. He's the only one that we're going to sign. We have a complete lineup already.
All right.
So we really don't want to play too many extra players this conference because of what's happening with the pandemic. We don't want to put that pressure on the team to have to pay extra salaries. So we'll limit how many players we have. And Alvin's the only player who will be signed this conference.
All right. And how fast do you think Alvin Pasaol will have an impact on the game? We know that he is a terrific scorer. He was the top scorer in the UAAP. We've seen him in 3x3, how physical he is. Is he PBA ready, and will he make an impact with the Meralco Bolts?
Well, let me say this first. I have not seen Alvin play 5-on-5 in practice. We have not been allowed to do that. So I have not been able to see him get up and down the court in one of my practices. I have not been able to see that. But I've been watching him since he was in college. I mean, he was a dominant scorer in college. He was a dominant scorer in the MPBL and all the other leagues that he played in the 3-on-3 trips to go. So I know what he can do. And from what I've seen in the practices that he attended with us, because he was with us for about 3 weeks before we went on break again. And it's hard to explain. I mean, you don't see too many guys come along like Alvin Pasaol. I mean, natural score. I mean, natural confidence. You know, I'm not saying the game is easy for him, but at the same time, he knows that he's a good player. He knows he can score the basketball, and he has confidence that he can do that. But the thing I like about him the most is he's a physical scorer. In other words, he can take contact and still score. He looks for contact. You look at him, you say he's overweight, he's a little bit too big. He's probably about 230 pounds. He should be about 220 because he only stands about 6'2". But at the same time, when he has the basketball on the fast break, he's the fastest guy on the court. So it's hard to explain the talent, and it seems to contradict. But, you know, like I said before, you know, Alan Kayadick, Kenneth Dorindas, James Yap, you know, there've been Terence Romeo. There've been guys who have come along over the years who can just score the basketball with just natural scores. And I would put him, Alvin Pasaol, in that category.
You know, I've heard comparisons with a lot of players with Alvin Pasaol. One of them that I heard over social media was Nelson Aceitono, a guy who was also born as a scorer, big, strong, physical. Do you think that there are shades of Nelson, who you coached during your coaching days with San Miguel? Are there shades of Alvin there, or does the comparison end with simply being a pure scorer?
Yeah, I actually coached him with RFM.
RFM, okay.
Nelson is probably, or was, I guess he's probably not anymore. Was more athletic. As a matter of fact, Nelson was probably the most athletic guy in the league for a while. I mean, he could outjump everybody. I don't think Pasaol has that type of power, that athletic ability. But the ability to bully people and still score, like I said, a physical score, that would be the comparison I would be looking at. The fact that both these guys can take contact, take hits, and still finish the play, still score the basketball. That's one thing Nelson was very good at, and Alvin's very good at also. And they were very good in the open court. You would think guys of that size would not be good in the open court, but Pasaol is very good in the open court. He's a good ball handler. And if you remember Nelson, whenever he got on the fast break, it's like a runaway train. I mean, basically, he could get to the basket anytime he wanted. So in that sense, yes. But I would compare Alvin more to Noli Laksin, to be quite honest, who also was a very athletic player too. The fact that he was a physical scorer, he could take a lot of contact and still score inside the paint. You know, he could hit people and still double pump and still make the shot, you know, plays like that. And he was a very good rebounder. Alvin Pasaol is a very good rebounder, particularly on the offensive end of the floor.
Interesting, because, you know, that's true. Noli Laksin was a guy that almost the same build, you know, as Alvin.
That's correct. Almost the same size, actually.
And also overweight.
I didn't say that, though. You did.
Oh, okay, I did. And I know Nolly's always watching. All right. But, you know, let me go back to your team, Norman. You know, I don't want to ask your prediction for this season because, of course, everyone says that we want to win. But Coach Yang Yao said that basically, you know, other teams are already fighting for 5th place. You know, he talked about the 3 San Miguel teams and Talk and Text already taking in the 4th spot. Do you agree? And of course, where do you see your team right now among, you know, in the field of the Philippine Cup?
Well, I won't question what Coach Yang said because that's his feeling. I don't agree with it. You know, I think any of those teams can be beat, and that's what we're going to be trying to do this conference. of course, teams like my team and a team like Inlex, because Inlex is going to be a much improved team this year also.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, their line is very, very solid. And I'm expecting they're going to be one of the teams that's going to be right up there. But at the same time, you just have to catch a break if you're at Inlex or Meralco. I mean, I'm not naive. I know that San Miguel, Ginebra, Magnolia, Talkentex, they are the favorites because they have the most talent. They're the most talented teams. But I think, like I said earlier, other teams have also improved their talent level. But you might have to catch breaks. For instance, you can't have any injuries to key players. You can't have that, particularly in the most important moments of the tournament. That can't happen. 2, guys have to peak at the right time. They've got to play as well as we get close to the end of the elimination round and we get into the playoffs. If they can do that, you never know what might happen. And then, of course, you may have to win a game. Like, you never beat us at the buzzer to get into the finals. You may have to win a game like that. Right. We actually had a shot to play before. It would have put us up if we had made that shot. It was a wide open. So if we had made that, that would have given us the advantage and put more pressure on them. So, you know, sometimes you just have to make those shots to be able to make it to the next level. I think the most important thing for us is to put ourselves in a position to be able to do that again. You know, that's the most important thing.
All right. You know, looking at your lineup now, are you still looking for more trades to plug in any kind of holes that are still there?
Well, I don't know whether there are any trades on the horizon right now. Remember, the season was supposed to have started already. So the last few weeks, nobody's really been doing anything as far as team movements or player movements. So we're not really anticipating that. In addition to that, we do have new players coming in. Mike Canete is coming in for his first year. Also, Alvin Pasol, you got Mac Bello, you got Noy Bacalao. So we do have new players coming into the team this year that we have to blend in as quickly as possible. So at this moment, I'm not expecting any trades, but you never know.
All right, let me move to another topic as we run, you know, we're running out of time here. But I want to ask you, I know you were involved with the Gilas team, the first bubble that they were in back in January. And that's where, that's where Kai Sotto was actually involved. And you got to see him up close, finally in person. What is your honest assessment, Norm, of the progress of Kai? And is he NBA ready?
Well, definitely Kai has improved a lot. I mean, from his high school days at Ateneo up to this point, he has become a much stronger player, a much more aggressive player. I was really impressed with him in the practices. I thought that he would have helped the Gilas team a lot if he could have played against the South Korean team in the tournament that's coming up that was supposed to take place last February. So my personal feeling is, yes, whatever he's doing in the States is working. He has improved his game a great deal. His strength has improved. Now, to answer your question about the NBA, I'm not sure whether he's ready for the NBA at this moment. I think he still has to improve more. I think he has to become a little bit more powerful around the basket. It's either he has to become more powerful around the basket, Noli, or he has to really perfect his three-point shot. One or the other.
Yeah,
in other words, he's going to be out there stretching the floor like a Porzingis, somebody along those lines, a guy that can consistently hit the three, or he has to be able to hold his own better underneath the basket, one or the other. That's the NBA we're talking about, because that's a different level of player. I mean, you have the best players in the world there. Now, here in the Philippines, for the national team, he would be a great help. I mean, I hope he can join the team, because he will give us a really good chance of being a powerhouse in this part of the world.
They say you can't teach height, and obviously Kai Sotto.
It's not just height, Noli. The kid is talented.
Yeah,
he can shoot the basketball. At this level in Asia, he would be a difficult player to deal with. I can tell you that much from what I saw in practice. And he's only going to get better. He's still young. That's why I'm saying he still needs to train hard and continue to improve his skills if he wants to make it to the NBA. But certainly he can be a force in this part of the world.
Well, we're all hoping that Kai can finally join the national team. Of course, we're also praying that he gets, to his dream, the pathway towards the NBA.
And he's a good kid, Noli. He's a really good kid.
I know that because his dad is
Well, he's not a kid; he's a man already.
Well, his dad has always been a good guy, so it's good to see them, getting all that success at this point of his career. Coach Norman, thanks so much for your time, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
I hope you stay safe, and my regards to everyone, to the family.
Okay, thank you, Noli. You take care.
Yan po mga kaibigan, si Coach Norman Black, yung second part ng ating interview ng head coach ng Meralco Bulls. Yung po sa mga nag-aabang dun sa interview ni Eric Cray, yung ating 6-time Southeast Asian Games gold medalist, well, medyo naubusan tayo ng oras. We will play it hopefully next week. At marami rin siya nasabi tungkol sa kanyang paghahanda at sa kanyang pangarap na makapunta sa Tokyo Olympics. Bago tayo magtapos, gusto ko lang pong i-congratulate lahat po ng mga na-induct sa De La Salle University Hall of Fame, yung Sports Hall of Fame ng De La Salle University. Kasama na po dyan ang ating mga kaibigan, si Congressman, team owner ng Batang Northport, si Congressman Mikey Romero. Congratulations. Si Renren Ritualo ng dati ng Green Archers at naglaro of course sa PBA. Congratulations also. At sa aking kaibigan, si Rene Banson and the Banson Brothers ng La Salle. Congratulations, and of course to all the inductees ng La Salle Hall of Fame. Alright, well, naayos na natin. Nakuha na po natin lahat yan. Marami po salamat sa inyong patuloy na pagsubaybay sa Power and Play. Sana po mag-ingat kayo. Ang dami pa rin pong kaso. Patuloy ang ating pagsusuot ng face mask, face shield, paghuhugas ng kamay, and of course, social distancing. Kung hindi naman kailangan lumabas, so work from home and enjoy your family. At of course, tuwing Sabado, bawal ang masungit. At sa lahat po ng ating gawain, ad maiorem Dei gloriam, all for the greater glory of God. Happy sports weekend, mga kapatid. More power, more play.